Okay, so welcome back, and we're down at the table, and where we're going to go through the signal chain to create that sound. We kind of set ourselves up a little bit for a challenge, trying to create that first album guitar sound using, just a distortion pedal as the brain instead of, the Marshall amps that we've always used before. So this is kind of a, an exercise maybe in futility in some ways, but it should get you thinking in different directions. I mean, what are you going to learn from any of this? Maybe nothing much, but if anything, it should be that to not follow convention all the time and figure out, what the essence of everything is, what the different uses are for the things that you have, because everything has multiple uses, and how they work together. So this is kind of like what would happen if you were a survivalist, a guitar survivalist, dropped off on a desert island with nothing but a pocket knife and some shoelaces. So let's just jump in and see how we created whatever sound that was that we heard, whether it was our closest sound or not, I don't know. But here we go. Let's start off. So we got our guitar, which is, the Mighty Might 1800 loaded Stratocaster with the normal bridge, maple neck, ebony fingerboard, ash body. So let's listen to just the dry sound that we've got just from the guitar itself without anything, right? So it's kind of nice and dark. It's got that kind of, like... that whole kind of, well, when we turn this on, right, it's got that. So it has, I'm sure that a lot of those kind of Jimmy Page sounds were created without amps, right? And that may be part of what you learn in this too, is that I think a lot of the recordings that were done 60s, 70s all along, really, a lot of them weren't amplifiers. I think a lot of times people just went straight into the console, and they went out of an amplifier or out of a distortion pedal and went straight into the board and did some EQing and came up with a sound. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing today, right? Kind of what we're going to be doing today. So we've got the warp drive and this Omni right now in the signal chain, right? It is going through the Mackie, but that's no big deal. It's just so I can mix in my mic with the sound as well. So it's going into here. And now this is an impulse response pedal. And usually what you would load in that is something along the lines of a speaker simulation. But in the case of this, what I decided to do was go for the straight in sound, right? So a company, Redwires, has an impulse response of an API 3-band EQ, right? They've got a little package of those. So I downloaded that last night and decided to go ahead and give them a shot and see what they sounded like. So I've got loaded into here is an API 3 band EQ that I did a little tweaking with in their program called Mix.io, where you can futz with the knobs and things like that. And decided to use that. So there's no Celestion, there's no JBL, there's no nothing. There's just warp drive and the pedal mimicking the EQ that you would find on an API console. So let's turn it on and see what we sound like. Right? So we got a nice kind of like woolly kind of tone going on there. So let's keep building. The next thing we would want to do maybe EQ that a little bit, because I think one of the things you might do that, it's difficult to do in the program where you're just kind of guessing what you're going to hear. So we're going to actually put a pedal in here for a couple of uses, an EQ pedal. So I got this MXR pedal here that I'm just going to put in the frame. 210 bands, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into this side so we can drop a little bit of mid-range, right? Scoop out 500K a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go into the EQ, and that is channel 1 input, right? Out of the warp drive into channel 1. Grab another cable, and we're going to go out of channel 1 into the IR pedal again. And let's listen to that, right? It's not going to be a whole lot different. We're just taking a little bit of mid-range out. Okay, so we're heading towards the sound. The next thing we want to do is let's get a little bit of room sound, right? Because the actual guitar was recorded in a room, or you want a little bit of that natural room sound. So there's some ambience, so it's not so static and sterile, so it fills out the sound a little bit. So to do that, I chose, going into the closet to look for something real quick that wasn't already on another pedal, is this Digitech pedal, right? It's the Hardwire RV7, which has some of the lexicon algorithms in it, which I like. So that's why we chose that guy. So let's go ahead and give it some power, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go out of the hot one and go into the lexicon unit. And we have powered up. And then out of the lexicon unit, we're going to go into the we're going to go into the mixer. Just had to grab a cable. So coming out of the lexicon, we go into the mixer, right? So we're going to give ourselves a room sound. Basically, we have this set at room, 50% level, the liveliness of the room way up. So that's sort of like the brightness of the room. The decay is kind of short. So it's, not like a huge room. It's a smaller room. All right, so let's listen to that. All right, so it just gives it some space around the sound. Like it's reflecting off the walls, right? In a medium-sized live room. Okay, so the next thing that we would know about the recording of that album is that there was some heavy reverb on it as well. And that was done from a chamber that was on the side of the studio, right? It wasn't EMT. We learned a lot of this stuff from the Sunset Sound videos. And the interesting thing, too, that we learned with that was that the reverb was actually on both sides of the stereo image, right, of the guitar sound. We always thought that there was only a dry signal on one side without reverb, and then all the reverb was on the other side. And as it turns out, there was reverb dead down the middle, and the guitar was panned over to one side. So what we're going to do that, and also, before I go to that, the sound of the reverb is very bright, right? It doesn't have a lot of low end to it. It's kind of very bright and very crisp. So we're going to want to EQ our guitar signal before we add some bigger reverb to it, right? So what we're going to want to do, and it was also in parallel, right? So the dry signal was in parallel with the reverb signal. So we're going to need to split this in two, right? Split the output of this pedal into two, and then feed it one, obviously dry, and the second one, give it some EQ with a lot of top end, very little low, and then run it into a reverb unit and then combine it in the mixer. So the reverb I chose to use was a Lexicon. Imagine that. So we got this unit here, which is an LXP1, and it has some cool algorithms in there still, I think. So we're going to be going with a medium room, right, with some pre-delay on there and all the good stuff. So let me put this into place. I'm going to grab the power. We're going to power it up. Okay. And it is on. So we're going to take the output of the hardwire and we're going to split it. So to do that, I've got this just a little metal box with 3 jacks in it that are all wired together. So if you plug into any one of these the other two have the same thing going on in them, right? So we can go 2 to 1. So I'm going to take the output of the hardwire, I'm going to feed it into this here guy. All right, we'll put that here. And then we're going to take one of these outputs and we're going to run it into the input of the EQ for the second channel over here, right, on this side. Let me put it up this way. And then we're going to take the output of said EQ channel, which is right here, and we're going to run it into the input of the lexicon unit. And then we're going to take the output of the lexicon unit, run it into channel 2 of the mixer. And let's just give that a listen and see what that sounds like, right? All right, we're going to need to turn that up, obviously, so you can hear it, right? Because it's kind of down. All right, so that's going to sort of mimic that chamber that was used. Okay. Now we're going to add the straight, guitar sound. The main non-reverbated sound now as well back into channel 1. So I'm going to grab a cable, plug into the little splitter box here, and then go back into channel 1 here on the mixer. There we go. Now we're going to listen to that. So you can hear we've got the fatter non-reverbated signal sort of skewed to one side a little bit, and then we have the delay on the other. Actually on both. Let me turn this mic so we don't hear the actual acoustics of the guitar. All right, so I think we got, a reasonable sort of facsimile of that what was going on in that studio a little bit there. The last thing that was sort of in that signal, and this you might find interesting, if there's something to be kind of like, maybe not everybody's seen before, maybe a lot of people have seen it before, maybe I'm doing it wrong, I don't know. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to add in 2 compressors, right? 2 rack 1176 style compressors that I built from Hairball Audio. So, and they're going to be run one into another. So let me just show them to you. They're too big to keep on the table right out here. So I've got them on a little side table here, but I'm going to put them under the camera so you can sort of get an idea of what they are. There we go. Let's get them here. Okay. So you can sort of see the 2 units there, and they're chained in a sense, running in one into the other. The top unit is run into the bottom unit, right? And the top unit is set for not so much a whole lot of gain reduction and compression as it is as like a preamp driving that second compressor. And the second compressor is set up for heavy compression and limiting. And the effect that this has is it really it's kind of strange, actually. I was very surprised the first time I tried it. It does make the sound jump out quite a bit. It adds a lot of dynamics, a lot of immediate transient response. It also adds some harmonic distortion as well, kind of making the initial source a little bit more complex. But also what's cool is it really quiets things down in some ways. But you're going to hear this as it swells with hiss and then quiets when you play. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into the chain, and I think we should put it right after this unit as we had before. So yeah, I'm going to remove, let's turn off the channel so that we don't hear a whole lot of popping and stuff coming through, so you don't have to blow up your head. All right, so this is the input cable to the compressor series. So we'll take that out of the Lexi, right? And we'll put that back into place. And then the output is this, oop, just dropped it. The output is this cable right here, and that'll go and feed our system, right? The dry and the wet, so to speak, of reverb. So those are on and running. So let me go ahead, and when I flip this channel on, you're going to hear a lot of hiss. But as soon as I get some signal into the compressor, it just all sucks down. And that's kind of a cool thing to hear, but let me put it on. Right? That's a lot of hiss, right? But then it goes away. And now it comes back. I'm just flicking the volume. Right? So let's take a listen to see what this sounds like. All right, so you can sort of get an idea of what that's doing. The last thing that would be kind of fun is just to put that phaser back in front of the whole unit, right? So we've got the little, got ourselves a phase 90 here. So we can power it up with the power supply. It's an older unit, but I put a jack in there so it can run off of a DC supply if it's needed to. So we're going to run this in the front, right, of the units. And there we go. And then we can put the channel back on and see what we get. Right, so yeah, that's kind of like the challenge for today, was to try to make something out of this this little group of signal chain stuff here. So anyway, I hope you found some of it kind of interesting or something to do while we're all sitting around. But I think that's it for now, and we'll be back soon with something else to do. Maybe build a guitar from scratch. Maybe I don't know. Maybe do another amplifier demo. You know, it'd be interesting. Let's just do this right now, really quick, while we got it. Let's take out the warp drive and let's put in a Jose Moto Teddy just to see how it compares. All right, so I'm going to grab that real quick. Okay. So first thing would be to obviously get the warp drive out of the signal chain. And plug in the Moto Teddy. And now we can go input and output, right? Because obviously we have to have a little bit of Moto Teddy content if we're doing this, right? So we have it set. It's the Jose. We have the the preamp's dimed. We're in pull Jose mode. Bass up, mid up, treble almost all the way up, it looks like. So let's just see what this sounds like. All right, we got to unmute the channel, and then we can go ahead and listen. Maybe we need to turn this down just a hair. Getting a little bit of distortion. We need to turn off the phaser, obviously, for that.